So you want to start photography in 2025? You're not the only one. Let me assist you by helping you choose what camera to buy to start your journey. If I was starting photography in 2025, I would just go back to when I started photography in 2024 and buy the same camera. And that is the Canon R50. The Canon R50 is a entry-level APS-C sensor camera, 24 megapixels, and it's a small sensor, but it can still get the job done. Now we're talking about starting photography, so I'm not about to get into all the technical techs and specs and stuff like that, but it takes good photos. That's my first camera I ever bought, and it worked really well for me for the time until I upgraded to my next camera, which I'll talk about down the line. But Canon R50 is a great place to start, and if you want to do some hybrid stuff, some video, it does record 4K with, I think it's either 5 or 6K downsample, and it records up to 4K 30. I think it's the perfect camera for someone starting their photography journey. Just keep in mind that since it is the APS-C sensor camera, there is a 1.6 time crop magnification factor on it. So whatever lens you buy, you're going to have to times that or multiply that by 1.6 to get this true focal length. But the benefit of that is that Sigma just announced a bunch of APS-C lenses for Canon RF mounts. They announced a 16, a 30, a 56, a 18 to 50, a 10 to 18. So there's really no lack of APS-C sensor or APS-C mounts that you can get. Now the Canon ones that they release aren't really that great, but Sigma announcing these, and they're fast primes, which is pretty cool. I would definitely check those out if you're starting photography and going the APS-C route. Now the downside of the Canon R50 is that it has a LPE17 battery, which won't last that long. So you're gonna have to buy multiple of these batteries, especially if you're getting into photography and using it a lot, because the battery life is not that great. It's not gonna last you that long. So buy a couple of those, and then also it only has one SD card slot, so keep that in mind. So if you're doing paid work, it's going to be, you can do it, but I highly recommend getting a camera with 2 SD card slots if you're doing paid work for redundancy, which we'll get into also a little bit down the line. The next camera I would recommend is the Canon R10, which is just the big brother of the Canon R50. It does pretty much the exact same thing, has the same battery, same sensor, same megapixel, same everything pretty much. The only thing better on the R10 than the R50, I believe, is like the autofocus, but pretty much everything on there is the same as the R50. So no matter which one you choose between the R50 and the R10, it's going to be, you know, you're going to be well off. And both these cameras, the R50 and the R10, both do 1080 at 120 frames per second. So if you want to get some cool slow motion shots, because it does not shoot 4K 60, 1080p at 120 frames per second, you're going to get some crisp and clean video. Now the next camera I recommend is the Canon R8. The Canon R8 is an entry-level full frame camera from Canon. It uses the same sensor actually as the Canon R6 Mark II, which is the higher budget level camera from the full frame Canon cameras, whatever. So the Canon R8 still does have single card slot, still does have the LPE17 battery. So you're still dealing with that as the same thing as the crop sensor cameras, but you're getting a little bit of update on the Canon R8 because, like I said, it shares the same sensor as the Canon R6 Mark II. And also on the video side, it shoots in C-Log 3. So if you want to get into LUTs and color grading and stuff like that, that is going to be the camera that you want to go with. The Canon R8 does not have image stabilization, in-body image stabilization, but you can get lenses that have IBIS. And honestly, if you're doing video and stuff like that, then you're going to be shooting on a gimbal pretty much anyway. But IBIS really only comes into play if you're shooting at like low shutter speeds and stuff like that. So I feel like with the Canon R8, it being an entry level full frame, because a lot of times, you know, full frame, well, not a lot of times, all the time, the full frame is going to perform better in low light, and it's going to handle the high ISOs better. So the Canon R8 at a price point of it is, I think at the time of me recording, it's like $1,200, something like that. And then Black Friday's coming up, so you can get that camera at a really great price. Obviously, I'm struggling to speak English today, but bear with me, okay? The next camera after that I'm going to talk about is the Canon R7. The Canon R7 is actually what I upgraded to from my Canon R50. And that camera is a beast, let me tell you. Even though it is APS-C, it is the flagship APS-C for Canon cameras. This thing has 2 dual card slots. It has a LPE6NH battery, so longer battery life, which is the same compatibility to battery life with the R5, R6 Mark II and beyond. This thing shoots 10-bit 422 video. It has a 33 megapixel sensor. It's mainly made for sports and wildlife shooting, but I've shot a number of weddings and portraits with it. And it is APS-C, but like I said earlier, Sigma just released a whole lineup of APS-C lenses that are going to be good quality and better quality than the Canon's RFS lenses, which is for crop sensor cameras, and I'm sure the quality of those are going to be great. I did review the Sigma 18-50 2.8 lens, which is the equivalent to 28-80, which I'll link up here if you want to go watch that. When I did have my R7, but now I sold it and now I'm recording on my Canon R6 Mark II, which is the next camera I'm going to talk about. If you want to invest in a camera that you know is going to last you for a long time, if you want to get into photography knowing that you want to make this your career and your full-time job and you want to get the best of the best, you want to get the Canon R6 Mark II. Now, put an asterisk up there. Obviously, there are better cameras than a Canon R6 Mark II. There's a Canon R5 Mark II, especially when we talk about for photography. But the Canon R6 Mark II, for the price, is the best camera you're going to get in Canon's lineup. It's a full frame camera, great sensor, CMOS sensor. It has 24 megapixels, which is great for speed shooting and stuff like that. And, you know, offloading if you need to, if you're shooting like sports or something like that, you need to offload pictures really quickly. 24 megapixels isn't too much. Now, the good thing with the Canon R6 Mark II is that it has the ability to go into a 1.6 times crop mode. So if you do use an APS-C sensor lens, so like, let's say, like I said, Sigma just released a whole lineup of lenses. Say you want to use one of those lenses on your full frame Canon R6 Mark II, you just shoot it into 1.6 crop mode, and now you have an APS-C sensor camera with an APS-C lens. Now, I don't know how much that's going to affect the quality of your pictures and videos, but it's something you can do. But also at the same time, just because you can, doesn't mean you should. So take what I say with a grain of salt, okay? But the Canon R6 Mark II, I think, in this lineup of starting photography in 2025, that is going to be a great starter block if you know for sure that you're going to take photography and make it your career down the road. It is a great investment, and then you can also invest in some L lenses and stuff like that. But with that being said, these are the cameras that I would probably start out with if I was starting photography in 2025. They're going to be the best value for the money. They're going to give you great quality, and they're going to give you great results. Okay, now, with these cameras, you're going to need to learn how to use them. Okay, so don't just throw it in auto mode and think you're going to get great stuff. Okay, and at the same time, the lenses are more important than the body. So if you buy the Canon R6 Mark II for $2,000 and then you buy a $200 kit lens to go with it and say, well, my pictures aren't that great, the lens is more important than the body. You date the body, you marry the lens. Okay, if you spend more money on a lens than a body, you're probably doing something right. So keep that in mind as you go into your photography journey. But if you are starting photography in 2025, welcome to the family, welcome to the journey, welcome to being broke, welcome to having fun, welcome to thinking you're not good enough, welcome to the community of other photographers, welcome to everybody thinking you're competition, welcome to just having fun sitting behind a computer, indulging in YouTube videos about how to get better with your camera, with lighting, only to, you know, maybe not use it because people won't book you. I don't know. I'm not trying to discourage you, but I'm just saying these might happen. But with that being said, that is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions, like and subscribe to the channel, and that's it. Peace.